This is the start of the episode. The beginning where it all started happening is right here. Start of the episode. We were just discussing how Chad and Mike are constantly bombarded with DMs for coaching, and I get none. And so we're excited to have some guests on tonight so that they can get coaching from Chad and Mike. Because God knows no one wants coaching from me. And I'm not bitter or upset about it at all.
This is the first time we ever have guests on the show, right?
Wow, that's true.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Should be a fuck show.
It's good being the guy coordinating this because you guys don't know how much I charge these guys. I've been able to siphon from the NOFH hour to my account and profit off of this. So this has been great.
I don't know what you're charging them, but it's too much. For what they're getting from us, I think it's going to be too much.
I'm coming up to Cornwall to get a lesson on how to use my iPad because I spent all fucking week this week doing RFQs and then I had to get having to print the drawing and use scale rulers. So I'm coming up for a quick lesson. You're gonna DM me after the show and tell me what I need to buy, and I'm gonna come up.
I'll tell you this. If you ever feel lonely, put up a post about a software that you're using and don't say the name of it. Because you will get 50 DMs asking you what software you use. And I'm not complaining. I'll gladly tell people what software I'm using. But that's when you really feel popular, is whenever you've got a software to display and they don't know the name of it.
I was wondering how many messages you got about.
Oh yeah. You can put it in the title of your post or whatever, and you'll still get asked 50 times.
I don't use software for anything, so no one asked me where I bought my paper and pencil. Not once. No one said, "Did that come from Office Depot? Did you pick that up at Walmart? That looks like Amazon Basics paper." No one brought that up with me when I posted my pencil. In all seriousness, no, Chad, I am coming to Cornwall and you're going to teach me how to do that because that was fucking sick. It was really, it seemed like something I could accomplish.
It is awesome. The learning curve, I mean, I could do it, so I'm the least computer.
That's what made me confident that I could do it. I was watching you do it and I was like, wow.
We can take these steps together, Mike. You and I can go from pen and paper contractors to the 21st century.
I feel like I can. I felt like I was doing nothing this week. I was like, fuck. And then all these guys are posting, their videos over there in their backyards and stuff. I'm like, man, I've done nothing this week. But in reality, I quoted like 350 grand worth of commercial work.
Nice.
But it just didn't seem like it was a lot, right? Because I wasn't like at someone's house. Like I just oh, I actually did do something this week, productive. So I'm going to Spencerville. Is that near you?
That sounds familiar. Where's Spencer? Yes, I did a job in Spencerville before.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 45 minutes.
I'm going there Friday.
What are you doing in Spencerville?
Guy's got a triaxle and a pup. I'm going to go look at it.
Oh, you're buying it. Oh, you're going to...
I'm going to look at it, see if I like it. But it is in the budget, and it is a nice truck. Apparently, I talked to him several times today. So
by the time this airs, you could own that truck.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah. Or it could get sold out from under me, and I'll have driven 3 hours for nothing. Also could happen. But seems like a pretty straight up guy. Seems like a nice guy.
Do you know the company?
No, I don't. And the guy's name is Kane. Does that help you? It doesn't seem like that many people named Kane out by Cornwall area.
No. Well, no. Is it an aluminum pup by any chance?
They're steel. The pups. Well, he says the pup's gray and he hasn't painted it yet, so I'm going to assume it's steel. But it might be aluminum. I don't know. The pup's not in the pictures on Kijiji. It just says truck with pup available, and I was like, perfect. So I called him, and then he said, yeah, it's still available, and I said, sick.
Do you often buy things with no picture?
That's why I'm going there.
If I see an ad online without a picture, I just keep scrolling through.
No, there was pictures of the truck.
Oh.
There's just not, and the truck's actually already all black, which, although that's not a reason to buy a truck, it is like does cost about $15,000 to get them swapped over from whatever color they are to our fleet color. So
The motor is right fucked, but it's black.
this is not a reason to buy a vehicle. I'm just, as soon as I say, oh, it's already black, people are like, oh, how fucked up is it? No, I would not buy it just because it's black. But it is black, which is helpful. So the pup is not black, but I don't care that much. We
Is it
can
another international?
No, it's Kenworth T880.
T880.
Yeah. It's like the newer kind of looking Kenworth. It's a newer version of the T800.
Wow.
Big slope nose. We shall see. 2016.
Is that a good year for motors? I'd assume they're overall that big def hump by.
Yeah, it's got the PACCAR motor in it, so
Oh yeah.
everyone. I called a bunch of people that have them. No one loves them. No one hates them, but so it doesn't. Seems like it'll be okay. There's not a lot of selection. It's not like buying I don't even know what kind of cars they make. It's not like buying a Malibu where there's 5,000 Malibus and you go find the one that you like. It's like very limited amounts of trucks and pups available. So you gotta like just not be quite as selective. So we will go look at it and see how it looks. It's 175,000. So.
Dollars?
Yeah.
A little rich for my blood, but I'm not in the trucking game, so.
Well, it's close to what I paid for my house. So if shit goes really, really fly, we'll live in the pup. Build a roof over it. Yeah, we'll build a roof over it, and we'll live in the pup. I don't know. That's what I was. Christy and I were looking at another truck today. What is it? It's a W990, which is a different Kenworth, and it's like worth 280 grand just for the truck.
Holy shit.
And it was probably like 300 new, 305, 310 new. It's used. It's 280 grand. It's fucking used. It's got 200K on it. That one is not in the budget, but it was sick. I'm trying to take massive action, man.
Yeah, that is massive action.
It is.
Trying to take some massive action here.
You were voted most likely to take massive action.
Oh, there's some great polls we did this week. They fucking make me laugh so hard. We don't have time to go over them because you're supposed to let the coaching client in, but
yeah, that's true.
Maybe in the not our or even worse hour. The polls are awesome. There was one about mustard today.
I saw that.
There's someone who was most likely to hang out with Tony Soprano. There's some great polls this week.
When we review the polls in our worst hour, I've got something to go off the polls that I did. Which could be pretty funny here.
We also have to show Chad's picture.
Yes, that'll come at the end of the episode. So if you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, check us out on YouTube. You'll be able to see Chad's picture there. Are we ready for our first?
Bring on the guest.
Yeah. All right. Going off the software, Chad, I've got a software for you to make a story about. Just don't name the software. Just get a bunch of people asking you what software that is. I'll send you the story even. You can just pretend that you're doing it.
I would love to.
All right. Does anybody want to set up like why we're doing this coaching on the podcast or anything like that?
I feel this coaching was derived because you and Chad get bombarded with coaching calls and I got none, and I was jealous and angry about it. So you guys felt pity on me and said, well, do some coaching live on the show. And then that way you'll feel like you're still involved in the coaching circle, even though you're not. I'm basically riding your two guys' coattails is basically what I see happening here. If you guys have a different take, feel free.
So I've never done coaching in my life. Anybody who has ever asked me, I usually just point them to somebody else or just say like, hey, I'll answer any question you have. Just shoot me the question. And I'll give you my take on it. But there's usually some better people that you can get coaching advice from. And
you've never recommended me or Chad, so you know where we stand.
I may have. It just depends on what their question is. And then they maybe didn't reach out. I don't know.
I'm excited about this. Guests, coaching, guruing, dropping some guru knowledge right here.
So we have Josh. Josh is just connecting with us here. So Josh would be our very first coaching guest here. Josh, can you hear us there?
Yeah, I can.
Awesome. Josh, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
We got Paver King here. We got Landscape Daddy here. We're ready for you here. If you want to give us like a background about you and
You can
what
turn on your
company you are?
camera, Josh. Don't be shy.
You don't
I thought-
have to. But
I thought it was
if you
on.
want.
He's naked.
I thought it was.
Oh,
I thought it was on.
Well, if you're naked, Josh, don't turn on it. We're cool with
Oh.
that. To each his own, but we don't need you to
I've
turn
been
on.
topless on the podcast. It's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's true. That's true. Chad's been
Oh, there we
topless.
go.
Oh,
There
Josh,
he
how
is.
you doing?
He's up.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good.
Going. So basically, I'm 29. About 5 years into this. Got a small company, 2 trucks, maybe $500,000 in revenue a year, and just looking to take some massive action.
Nice.
Perfect.
Yeah.
PK was
So
just
is this-
talking about his massive action.
So you're
Yeah.
you're $500,000 in revenue. What is that? How do you generate that?
So it's mostly big hardscape projects, and we do a little bit of hydro seeding.
Nice.
Ooh, Chad.
Nice.
Yeah. No maintenance or anything like that. I don't do any plowing either.
Gotcha.
Where are you
Love that
located,
as well.
Josh?
I'm located in Niagara region, Port
Oh.
Colborne, if you've heard of it.
Nice. Yep.
Yeah.
Port Colborne. So what do you look?
Okay.
How do you want to expand, Josh?
To be honest, I have no idea. I just, to be honest, nice and slow seems like the best way to do it. But you go online and you see all the gurus, right? They're saying 10x, just 10x it.
We
But,
20 we 20Y here, Josh.
What's that?
We don't 10x. We 20Y.
Holy shit!
We 20Y. We
The
don't 10x.
complete opposite axis.
We go
Oh,
20
man.
times. We go 20 times deep, and then we ask ourselves why.
So is this your first time?
Seating?
Yeah, I actually had a couple questions specifically for you.
Cool. Who do you hydro seed right now for? Is it residential clients? Is it a commercial
Yes.
thing, or
It's residential right now, so it's about
Okay.
5 to 10,000 square feet. It's a really small. It was a small hydro seeder.
Yep.
Like a jet agitated one. It wasn't the
Okay.
mechanical agitated, so I couldn't really do
Really?
much with it.
Hmm.
But this year I'm looking to buy something bigger. I sold that one this winter. I'm looking for like a T60, like a fin machine.
yeah.
Yeah.
We
I'm just wondering, like, how long does it usually take you to prep an acre and spray it on average?
So a lot of the times, if we're prepping our own, an acre is how many square feet? Would you know offhand? I wouldn't know.
46,000.
46,000 square feet. So if we're doing the topsoil and all that shit, we get our topsoil dropped off. If it's just to prep, probably like a day to prep it and half a day to spray it or something like that. I think.
Has there been situations where it's been overgrown on you? Like it was prepped maybe earlier in the year and they let it sit?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
If there's not a whole lot you can do. You're definitely fighting weeds at that point. We
Yeah.
love a Harley rake. If you have a big Harley rake,
Yeah,
by any
yeah.
chance.
I bought an SVL 65 last year with the power rake.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's your best bet. But honestly, with hydro seeding, the most important thing is getting the right time of the year, right? So you don't want to
Yeah.
spray
No, that makes sense.
after June 15th. Let it sit the summer, and then ideally you're not doing any topsoil work midsummer. That'll give the weeds a chance to get in. But from spring to June 15th, you're good to spray. And then after that, it probably picks up first or second week of September. And that's when you'll get your absolute best results. So if you have clients that are going to be really picky, you want to put them in that September bracket. And
Yeah.
you want to give them the first shot. As soon as it starts to get cool in September, that's your best time for seeding.
Do you do any residential still, or is it all commercial?
I don't love to spray residential just because I feel like the homeowner watches the fucking job site.
Yeah,
with a
yeah, that's
magnifying
exactly
glass, right?
that's exactly
Like,
what I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, they want golf course grass out of the hydro seeder. They think it's just as good as sod, and
Yeah.
it's still nowhere fucking near sod, right? You still have to let this stuff grow in. It's going to take 2 to 3 years to fill out completely, and I like to tell them that the end result of hydro seeding after 2 or 3 years is a better seed because you've grown it from nothing, whereas sod you take and lay it down in a foreign environment to the sod, and we find it just goes to shit year after year. If the client isn't maintaining it with the same fertilizers that they were using at the
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
nursery, right?
Okay.
So we find hydroseed is better after a few years, sod is worse. But again, anytime you do a residential spray, they're really looking for those results, and you got to communicate with them that this isn't sod and this isn't
Right.
going to happen overnight.
Do you guys use a soil preparator or just the Harley rake?
So on our commercial jobs, we just hit it with the power rake, and then it's good to seed. But my disclaimer is a lot of this is straight into a field, right? Like we're spraying banks and fields and stuff like that. It's not
Yeah.
someone's lawn where we should be going around and hand raking everything or hitting it with a harrow and a four-wheeler or something like that just to really smooth it out.
Okay. Okay, I got another question for Mike. I'm a
Sure.
hardscaper.
Oh, I'm a hardscaper.
Fuck,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I got one for you too. Don't worry.
That's okay. I'm just joking.
So Mike, I noticed that you like to use those gator-based products in your videos. Do you still use them, and would you recommend them?
Yeah, I would. I love it for my business model, particularly, being that it's difficult for me to find labor in the personal situation that I'm in. If it's applicable to the project, I'll definitely use it every single time. We've talked on this podcast. I think Chad talked about it. Using 6x13s specifically on it is not great, right, Chad?
Yeah, I don't love, like, there's some instability on putting a small paver on the foam where it sort of rocks, that I don't love, but we haven't heard
what's the
not to.
What's the benefit of it? Is it just you don't have to put as much base down?
Yeah, that's specifically it. I work in a lot of tight access situations, so if we're not going to be able to get a machine into the backyard, we're definitely going to do gator base as long as we can. There's obviously problems with it, like you need to get all the organics out. So I quoted gator base on a project. We hit a stump, and then we had to grind that stump out and take out like 2 feet worth.
I saw that video.
Yeah,
I saw that video, man. How long did that take you? Weeks?
That took a while. That took a long
Holy
time.
fuck. Did you still make money on that or what?
I did, because I kind of figured that they said that they had a tree removed a few years ago and it was in around the patio area. So I just quoted it as if it was there. So I still made money on it, and that was fine. It's just a lot more work than I expected it to. But if it's applicable, I'm gonna go gator base all the way. If it's not, go ahead.
Roughly how much do they cost, like per square foot?
I think it's like $3 a square foot. I could be wrong on that.
That's
like
actually a lot.
Three, that's retail though, so that's what I quote on, and whatever contractor pricing is off of that. But I've run the numbers. It still saves me as opposed to doing like a traditional base or an open graded base.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so Paver King.
Sure.
I just want to know what do you do with these laborers that can't drive truck in the winter? And I know you don't plow snow, right?
So
do you keep guys on? Like, how do you do it?
So I have one operator that's been working this winter. He's loading the trucks. I have one guy that's pushing soil at the dump. I have one guy who loves smoking weed on his couch. Hey, it's legal, motherfucker. It's nothing wrong with it. Guy wants to lay on his couch, smoke weed all winter. Props to him.
Yeah.
I think a bunch of my guys do that, actually. So.
There you go. We got one guy that goes away skiing every winter. He's been part of my family in different ways for about 10 years, and he always goes to BC and goes skiing for the whole winter. So he's gone. And then we have one staff this year that had a really rough fall, and he needed a break for a little bit, and he's sort of back on his feet now. So that's what we did with them this winter. That's where they all are. And then last winter, I have one large commercial client who tends to work through the winter. Although this year he's slow. I also haven't shoved him around too hard for work because everyone that needs to work is working pretty regularly. So But I
Yeah.
have one client that I also priced some tile on a rooftop that I could start early this year. Right now, it's hard to find stuff for them to do, and
I hear it.
it's I guess for me, it's been a long time we've been doing it, so we haven't. They all sort of have their own little thing they do in the winter, but
Okay.
that's a really hard thing to do is keep people busy for the whole winter, finding stuff for them to do. Like we don't we move a lot of snow. We don't plow any snow.
Why is that? Is it just a liability?
Uh, I've thought about it because I have some friends that do really large scale snow removal, and I thought about maybe taking on like a site for our crew, but trying to insure that I just got turned down. So I have like
Jeez.
fuck tons of snow plow. We have like 5 snow plows, but we don't
Oh,
ever plow snow.
That's a shame.
I don't. I had them because we were renting out our equipment for the winter. That's something we used to do too.
Oh, okay.
But we used to like rent out our 595 and our S70 for the winter, and then the snowplow operator would have his staff running it. I have a plow for one of my trucks because it just came with it. It's actually it's my wife's truck, so she has a plow for her truck. But finding stuff for the people to do is hard, man. I know a couple guys.
I know, man.
I know a couple guys that have like renovation stuff they do in the winter.
Yeah, my guys do demo for another company and sort of gets them through, right? Like it's just anything so that you know that they're going to come back to you in the spring.
Yeah.
I think
All
that's
right. So I guess that. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like sometimes building a relationship with, one of our key things is our relationship with some of our bigger companies that we deal with. So.
Oh, okay. Just borrowing guys and stuff like
that. And they have different opportunities that come up because they're larger. Like a lot of our business is based off our relationships with larger companies.
Right.
Like that's a huge part of our business is just building relationships with large scale companies, finding something that we can do for them, and that opens the door. And then every time something new comes up, I just kick the fucking door wide open, and I just keep trying to build that relationship with them.
Nice.
But that's how we do it.
Nice. Yeah. All right. So I guess I had a question basically for the group then. Maybe I'm sure you all might have different answers. Mm-hmm. What are you going to start a brand new laborer at this year, like wage wise? Say like a 20-year-old green. He's just got a driver's license. That's it. What would you start him off at?
He has a driver's license? Because that's huge.
That's huge, yeah. that made it go up quite a bit in my mind there when you said that.
Can you get him on the insurance though? Is it
just another good question to work?
Clean license?
Yeah. Just to get himself to work. He's not driving my trucks yet.
Yeah.
Just to get himself there.
And he has a car. Because this is the next. Yeah, okay. So this is someone with a car with a license. Woo! Where are you finding that guy?
Well, I know.
Where'd that person crawl out of?
I've had guys that have told me they're going to bike to work, and it lasts about 3 days. And then they start asking for someone else to pick them up. And then the guys get cranky because they're expected to pick someone up in the morning. And that guy just goes to shit after that, right? So, geez, what do you start someone off at? So, cost of living in my area is, I want to say, somewhat more affordable than other places like the GTA and maybe your region. To put a number on it, at NDL we start low man at 20, and sometimes that's subsidized by we can get them on a government program or something like that where they'll pay like $14 an hour for the guy. And
do they still have that? Is that still a thing? Oh really?
Yeah.
Are any of them ever any good, or is it guys that just can't get a job?
They're usually dog shit, but we picked up a couple all right guys that have stayed for a couple of years at some points. But a lot of them are just. Could you imagine being so shitty at your job that someone else has to subsidize your labor rate to get you a job? Right?
No.
Like we had these fucking idiots. Some of them would come to work in sweatpants, and the government pays for their work boots. It's just a fucking nightmare. Anyway, We'll start
So
them off
20
at
bucks.
20. Yeah, just because I think it's a hard enough job that nobody should have to work for
Yeah.
for less than that. And it's a good springboard. I always tell them if you work harder, there's endless opportunity to make more money here.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about you guys?
We'll probably start off someone like that at 18, and then all our guys get $20 a day to travel. So if you work a 10-hour day, you're really making 20. But we subsidize, like we give them $20 a day for travel. So if you got to take the bus or we're at least subsidizing your travel somehow there.
And they get paid. They get paid when they get to site or when they leave your shop. How's it work?
It depends on the job and where they're going. But normally our guys go straight to site, and then they get $20. So they get paid from when they get to the site, and then they get subsidized $20 for their travel. If they're going far, we had some guys traveling an hour, then they get $30 a day for their travel, and usually they meet at our yard and they go in our truck, but they get paid from when they get to the site. But we do subsidize that. I am working on some different stuff this year to make sure everyone gets changing the business model a bit, but 18 with a $20 a day travel allowance would be where we start someone like that.
And do you find you have a lot of turnover?
Well, we lost a lot this year.
Yeah.
How many did we lose? We lost 3 this year, which is probably above average for us, but we don't have tons of turnover. They all had unique reasons for leaving. They were all interesting and unique, but yeah, I don't usually have a lot of turnover, I guess.
That's not
a few people a year. It's not.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. I mean, I've had 3 this year, and we have a 2 to 3 man crew, so we're switching out guys constantly.
We don't actually have a lot of, I guess at our height last year we had 15. That would be the height of our staff last year, like at the very peak.
Yeah.
So we have 3 drivers. One of them left and came back, so I don't know how you want to call that, but did we lose them? Did we not? But so that's where we're starting. 18 plus 20 a day for travel.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I'm somewhere around 20 to 22. And because of my situation, most of my work being in Kitchener, living in Toronto, I would actually pay from the time that they left their place to and then go to the job site and then all the way back as well. But I'm not going to do that going forward because I realize how much, like, if
That's
they get in an accident
eh?
on the way to work, it's kind of technically, I think that falls on me. I don't know, but I'm not going to do that again. So yeah, I would be somewhere around 20 to 22 bucks starting.
Okay. That's fair.
Cool, man. That's we got to say goodbye. We got to bring on Brock next.
Absolutely.
But Josh, man, great questions, and that was awesome.
Thanks, Josh.
Yeah,
Josh, give everyone a shout out. Where do they find you? What do you do? You got to
Property Solutions Niagara at gmail.com, or follow us on Instagram, or come find me in the Niagara region.
Perfect. Josh, thanks so much,
guys.
Thanks, Josh.
All 200 people in Dominican will be beating your door down. Have a good night, Josh.
Peace.
Bye. Take care.
All right, I'm bringing in Brock here. I think, let's remove. We'll not be able to remove. Here we go. I think Brock's coming in. I think I just removed Josh. I didn't remove one of you guys, so that's good.
No, I'm still here. I know you tried to remove me, but I'm still here, Mike.
Brock, can you hear us there?
I can hear you here.
Awesome. Brock, how you doing?
Not bad. How are you guys?
Good, man. Thanks for joining us here.
If you're not naked, Brock, you can turn your camera on.
I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I'm not familiar with these. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
All right, we got her.
Awesome.
Perfect.
What's going on, guys?
Hey,
not much. How are you, Brock?
Getting by. Long winter.
Yeah.
It is a long winter.
Where are you located, Brock?
I'm out in West Guilford, just north of Haliburton.
Ah, gotcha.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Nice. Were you the one that said I made disparaging comments about Haliburton landscapers?
Yes, I did.
Did I don't remember making these disparaging comments. I did apologize for it.
It's in like episode 2.
We'll have to go back and check that
That
out.
was
I
a
have to go
long
back.
time ago.
I'll go back and
Yeah,
check it
yeah,
out.
yeah.
I'll go back and check it out. I
Well,
don't know.
in Mike's defense, his microphone wasn't working so well, so maybe he didn't say Halliburton. Maybe he said like halibut.
Oh, it was
He
pretty
loves
clear.
the fish.
It was pretty clear. I apologize, Brock. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
I can sometimes run off at the mouth.
I smiled when I heard it. So
Here's
I
the
just-
twist to the coaching calls. Brock's really come on here to interrogate you, Mike, and to call you out on this.
I've been thinking about it all day. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Brock, man, what can we help you with?
I don't know. Like I just started my business 2 years ago. Basically all hardscaping, site prep, lot clearing services. I don't know. Like you guys seem like you're doing pretty wicked, and just I watch your stuff and just kind of pick your brains, and happy to talk to you is really like, like I'm just starting out. So, what advice do you gurus have for a guy?
How big's your company, bro?
You're looking at it.
Oh, right on. One man show. So you
I
do
hired a couple guys this last summer, but yeah,
Okay.
but no, right now it's just down to the core. So, just renting equipment, got a couple trucks and a 1 ton kind of thing. And I don't know, just winging it right now.
What's your main source of revenue? Is it the hardscape? Is it the lot clearing? Like what does it for you?
Lot clearing, site prep kind of side stuff, lot clearing more wintertime. Hardscape is just like, yeah, my core. It's a little different than what you guys do. It's more retaining, like huge retaining walls and huge staircases and pretty much all flagstone.
Coming up
Okay.
from the lake.
Yeah. So I'm basically cottages. That's about all I work on, which
I feel like that's not a way that a lot of landscapers break into the industry
Yeah.
with just going big right off the bat, right? Like that seems counterintuitive. Like usually you're starting off with small walkways and shit and
I know,
repair
and
work.
it just seems that everywhere I go here, like in comparison, like it's all in or not in. Like it's people want you to go to the lake, but you can't go to the lake, but without building your way back up or building your way down almost. Like,
Gotcha.
so I hear you.
So
It's trial by fire, basically.
as far as equipment goes, you say you're renting or you're owning or what's
I'm renting right now in the process of buying some iron.
okay.
For this coming year. Pretty much have to have something on site at all times. Like it's pretty much all armor stone, like, and then like and stairs kind of thing. So I can't be without machines. But yeah, paying huge for rentals, like huge. But
yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. Your rental fees are probably through the nose, right? Like that's
yeah.
So what's the right size shovel for your company? Like what would get
usually
you up and going?
5 to 6 is about the smallest I can do.
Yeah. Okay. So like you're reaching down towards the waterfront and shit like that. You need something with some weight to it.
Yeah. And you're in some for the most part, I'm on some pretty serious grades. So
yeah. So
I don't know what it feels like to run an excavator on flat ground anymore. So
I did a waterfront this year for a buddy of mine, and the first time the excavator went sliding towards the lake, all the guys were laughing at me, and I just looked at them and I was like, "Why don't you guys come down and dig a trench on top of a gas main, swing it over someone's head into a dump truck on Queen? We'll see how you feel."
Exactly. Hey, I'm not chirping what you guys do.
No, I'm not used to it. Those grades are the rocks.
Yeah.
The rocks are slick, and the grades are.
I couldn't imagine working on like a street kind of thing. Like it's totally different than what I'm used to. I go onto like a 2 or 3 acre property, and like the whole area is my stocking ground and my playground for the 3 weeks or a month that I'm at their place. And
what's your season like, Brock? Again, Halliburton.
It's hard. Our half load season usually goes to like the 24th of May.
Wow.
So getting started it's a late start. But like it depends. Like this year I've actually kind of stockpiled on my jobs for next year because like I said, a lot of it's armor stone and big stone stairs and stuff. So at the end of this season, I actually stockpiled a few jobs to get me going through half load season. So I already have material on site. I'm not trucking in and dealing with half load crap, unfortunately. But yeah, fortunately this year I thought ahead.
I can feel your pain.
Yeah.
I have a lot of stuff that sits during half
Yeah.
load, so.
Yeah.
Um,
How long you waiting for locates out there? I bet you don't have to worry too much being so close to that water.
There's no locates.
yeah. Well, everything comes in overhead probably because it's
A lot is actually underground now, but like you're basically working on bedrock in a lot of places too. So like everything's so easy to see. Like it's like your hydro is pretty much covered in concrete if it's a if the place is, if they couldn't get to their 4 foot mark or whatever, they get 6 inches down and then pour a bunch of concrete over top of it. And so you can see where every hydro line is that's partially buried. And yeah, you just kind of gauge your well and then know where the septic is. And like there's a lot less for locates, that's for damn sure.
I guess your staffing is like, I live in the GTA, which is like, I don't know, 5 million people. I have no idea how many people live
I grew
here.
up down there. Yeah.
And I have staffing problems.
Yeah.
How's the staffing in Halliburton? Yeah, like it seems brutal. Like it would.
It's brutal. It's absolutely horrible. I had one good guy this year, one kind of halfway decent guy, but I don't know what it's like down there, but the drug problems up here are ridiculous. You give somebody a paycheck on Friday, you don't see them for 5 days kind of thing. And then they come back for the next week or the following week and, want to work again. And
so you're paying them too much. If it's 5 days worth of drugs, that must be a pretty big paycheck.
I don't know what that is. No, no, I don't know. I'm fair. Like I'm definitely fair, but I think this year I was a little too generous, but I don't know. You got to scrape like to, I find myself overpaying people because I just can't get people.
Yeah,
I could see that being a problem. Do you have any like seasonal staff, like people that come and live up in Halliburton area for 6 months and then go back down?
I've tried, and you gauge it towards like like I've tried gauging it towards like kids whose parents have cottages up here and that kind of thing. Oh, go stay at your parents' cottage and work with me for the summer. But I don't know. It's a pretty like it's more high end, like where I'm kind of gauging it, and I feel like a lot of the children of the people who have cottages around here and that kind of thing, they're not hardscape or
it's a special breed. That's
they're going to be lawyers and doctors. So
and you'll be there making more than lawyers and doctors doing those types of projects.
It's a pretty wicked market. Like it's neat. Like, and there's no, like, there isn't any lack of work because I'm working on people's secondary properties all the time. So like I'm dealing with the people that always have coin, which is kind of nice in comparison to working like, on a primary residence where it's somebody's like main choice. No, I'm on their cottage. This is their second home. Like I don't know.
So
go ahead.
Do you do snow, Brock?
Unfortunately.
Okay. Well, no, it seems like up there, that seems like it would be a more steady business than down here, right? Like
it's pretty good. Like I've been out quite a bit this year, but the insurance aspect of it is ridiculous. And I don't know. There's a really good market for salt sanding up here just because everybody's driveway is a nightmare and getting in and out. of places, but it's the liability is ridiculous as soon as you go and put salt or sand down, and then you're then liable to make sure nobody trips and falls. And like a lot of the places up here through the winter are Airbnbs for
Yeah.
this and that and whatever. And,
Snowmobilers.
snowmobilers and people coming up here, just to have a good time, I guess. And, then all of a sudden somebody slips where you've sanded for somebody to get in, and then you're liable. It's that end of it. Like, there's huge money in it, but to go that crazy into it would be a big expense for four months of the year. So like, there's huge logging industry up here too, which is always the fallback in the winter. So
Nice. So did you choose to move your business up here? Up to Haliburton?
No, I was working down, I was working in Etobicoke for a few years, and working as a mechanic. Actually, I started working for a company down in Ajax area when I was 16. A landscape company down there, Bryden Landscaping. Mike might know them.
Yeah, I know Brian Denbuck.
Yeah.
And
So anyway, my
son.
dad was actually partners with Brian back in the day. And so I started with them when I was young and worked with them doing it down there. Took a stint trying to be a mechanic for a little while, and lost my mind driving from Brooklyn to Etobicoke every day, and moved up here, never looked back, and went right back to landscaping. So
how many years have you been working in Haliburton?
Probably about 10 years up here now.
Nice.
And then 2 years on my own. I was running a company for another guy for a little while, and kind of said, screw this. He was a good guy, but I just said, you know what, I'm doing it for you. I can do it for myself.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's so just so there's some kind of guru advice in this 15 minutes, because I feel like we're
just yammering.
That's okay. That's what Brock came for, was some yammering. That's what he want. But I feel like we still need to drop some guru advice to Brock.
Here comes a PK quote. Oh my, brace yourself.
No, this is
what I came for.
Brock, do you know your numbers on whether or not you should stop renting and purchase? Like that would seem to be no, it's true. Like, do you rent enough to purchase? Because he's got to float that machine all winter, that excavator, right? Like, yeah. I'm asking, does he know his numbers? That's guru level stuff from PK.
That's been the biggest learning curve this year for the house, how steadily I've needed a shovel on site, right? Like, and it's like, it would make you cry if I told you what I've spent on rentals this year. Yeah. Like, so this year, probably in the 65 range for renting skid steers. And
so you're good. You can definitely afford to buy a couple pieces.
Yeah. It's just, it's getting over the paying for it, that I just, you think you're like, where are you going to be in the middle of winter? And then this winter I tore my rotator cuff like just after Christmas, and I'm finally just getting back to work. It's like, well, that's a big paycheck, or that's a big payment, if you don't have a paycheck or something happens and blah blah blah. I can't get over the mental aspect of things, which is one of the things I'm getting better at. But it was a big leap to go into business for myself. But I think this year, like, I'm in the process of getting financing. And
so for us to get over that scare factor, every time we get a new piece of equipment, we've got at least a year's worth of payments for that machine in the bank to float it if something goes wrong, right? Like, we're not buying this hoping that the work's going to come for it or something like this. Like, you got your machine's $1,800 a month. Well, there's 20 grand in the account to float the cost of that machine if for some reason it's not running for a full year, which is it's unreasonable to think that your machine won't run at all or make you any money that year. But that's just our safety net. Yeah,
and that's, I agree with that too, and that's kind of why starting to take the leap this year. Like I am booked a year this like first time being booked a year out, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it's a
We
good way of looking at it though too.
whenever we go to buy something new, we try to figure out how it's going to pay for itself and how is it going to generate enough. I mean, like we buy a lot of trucks, right? So we're looking at buying a Traxxas on the pup right now, but I have a contract for it. I understand how much it will generate every week.
Yeah.
In theory, I understand how, like, nothing in life is guaranteed ever, but I have already thought out about how it's going to pay for itself. When we bought the bin trucks, or we buy the bins, or we buy the float, we just bought a 30-ton float. I understand how that float's going to pay for itself before we buy it.
Yeah.
That's how we think about it. It horrifies me to think I need to have an entire year's worth of payments for a $300,000 truck in the bank before I buy it. But it's not.
Yeah,
That's not necessarily my way. But I agree with Chad's way. But I more am about what's the plan for this and what's the base for it. Like, what's the base way we're going to earn money with it when we. Like, I know that truck and pup we're looking at on Friday, I know exactly how it's going to earn money. Now, it might earn money other ways that I don't expect yet, because people won't call you for shit you don't have. But I have a base to make the payment on it and keep the driver busy. And then if it does other stuff, great. But I try to have at least one base home for every piece we have.
No, that makes sense. It's the way to be. And I think the one part I'm struggling with is, at the end of the day, half the week I'm one person, and how do you finance 3 pieces of equipment or whatever, and you can only be in one at a time.
Yeah.
That's a hard call.
And you can still make money when you're renting. As somebody who rents, as long as you know your numbers enough, you can still make good money.
Yeah, but there's you look at the end of the day when it's like, that it. So say I buy and I'm $30,000 a season, but or $30,000 a year, whatever you want to say, and like I'd have a lot more profit. But playing my numbers, then the machines are gone in the winter. Kind of like that.
Mike's not big on maintenance.
Very much.
No, well, you, Mike, not me, Mike. You, Mike.
Yeah.
He's not big on maintenance. That's why he owns nothing and he loves it. He also identifies as a flutist.
Eats
I
crickets.
saw that.
He identifies as a flutist. So
Well, Brock, we've reached our time here. Anything else that you want to leave us with, or where can the audience go find out more about what you got going on?
I don't know. I'm on social media, Brock Pascal Landscapes, and anybody in the Haliburton County that you guys don't want to come up and service, send them my way.
absolutely. And I'll try to say better things about Haliburton landscapers.
We're a different breed. That's all I can say.
There you go. Perfect.
Thanks for having me, guys. That's
Thanks,
No
wicked.
problem. Have a great night, Brock. Take care.
Yeah, take care, guys.
Bye.
That was great.
Mike, that was great, bro. I love Brock.
Yeah.
And apparently I did say bad shit about Haliburton landscapers.
Yeah.
I don't remember saying. I'm going back to episode 2.
He must be a diehard if he's been with us
I
that
know.
Been
long.
with us since the beginning. I said bad shit about them, and he stuck around. So
I said bad shit about Kitchener landscapes. No
And
one
I'm
came
still
after
here.
me though. I'm still here.
and you're still here. Do we have another guest?
Yeah, here comes Zach. Zach is our final guest here.
Is he in his machine? Or is that just a picture?
Zach Sweets connecting his audio. Love it. Bring it
There
on,
we go.
Zach. Mike owns nothing and he loves it. That was the best. That video chat, like, I know I redid it with, but that when you put that was the highlight of my whole week. I laughed so fucking hard.
I don't think everybody else appreciated it the way you and I did.
I don't know if everyone else, I don't know.
I didn't appreciate it like you and Mike did.
Are you in here, Zach? Are you live?
Zach, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Awesome, Zach. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you fellas doing?
Oh,
We're
amazing,
great.
man. Yeah,
We're doing well.
Zach. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company. What do you got going on there?
Well, I'm from New Brunswick, Canada.
Beautiful.
East Coast.
I have a relatively small company. I got one guy full time, and then two or three guys part time, and then myself. Um, I do a little bit of commercial maintenance, and then I'll do projects like patios, walkways, some hydro seed, plant trees, that sort of thing. So those are the services that I offer, and I do snow removal as well.
So I didn't realize so many people did hydro seed. So
Me either.
I
Like,
I didn't
I
know
thought
this
it
was
was
such a
like,
thing. I love it. It's great. I don't know shit about it though. It
how's
really
the profitability in hydro seeding out in New Brunswick?
So this is my second season doing it, and I used to do a lot of sod. There's a lot of construction that happened in my city over the last 3 or 4 years. So there was a lot of new construction opportunities to do sod, and we were just really just being way too hard on our bodies laying sod. So I made the switch over to hydro seed, and we're in and out in half the time.
Really?
And
See, is that a
that's
hard switch to pull on a client? Because I feel like I would be fighting a losing battle trying to convince them to go hydro seed over sod and promising them the same results.
yeah, it at first it was trickier, but the more I got comfortable with like the service of hydro seeding, and the more I got better at it, like there was a bit of a learning curve. Whereas with sod, you can, it's pretty straightforward. You just lay it. But I was still in the beginning, I was pricing out both services to the client. Give them a
Okay.
price for sod, and I give them a price for hydro seed. And I might juice the numbers on the sod side a little bit just to maybe convince them that to go with the hydro seed. And
No fault in
um,
that. I've done that more
yeah,
than a handful of times.
yeah. So there was a bit of convincing in that regard, but uh, I think after a while, just getting better at the hydro seed, I could show them the results are pretty close, and you can get a mix of the different types of grass in there. Like
Yeah.
so we only really have one good sod farm around in our area, and they are pretty good, but it's not great in all instances. So with the hydro seed, we can get I just tell them that you get a good mix of grass, and we can get anything to grow, pretty much anywhere.
That's bold. I will never promise a client that I can get anything to grow anywhere.
Well,
But
I mean, like we've had our share of blunders, but I mean, for the most part, I've had pretty good success with it. It's just the watering. I find that's the trouble, is getting people to water it consistently and water it well.
have you
That's
have
tricky.
have you used this stuff called hydrogel at all?
Is that like a additive that holds the moisture
Yeah,
close?
yeah, that stuff. Like we got a case of that stuff. We haven't used it yet, but we're just trying to find a workaround for our like midsummer. You're not supposed to spray, right? And
Yeah.
the product reps are telling us that this sort of remedies that a bit, but I haven't tried it myself. So
I've talked to my supplier about it. He's told me like it's a lot of people use it for like commercial bigger jobs where
yeah,
it's hard to water.
yeah,
I haven't used it yet, but there was one time last year where I probably should have done it, because we had a couple spots that just didn't really grow. It kind of got toasted on a commercial site.
yeah,
So that would have been a good opportunity to use it, but I've heard about it. I haven't tried it yet.
yeah. Well, me either, but we'll see this season. We got a case sitting in the sea can right now,
Nice.
just ready to spray once that weather turns nice again.
So Zach, what were you hoping that we could help you with?
Well, my question's actually for Mike. No offense, PK, but my
Oh,
question's
that's okay. I don't get offended by anything. I'm happy. I'm happy if you ask Mike. I'll learn something, baby. Absolutely.
So my understanding is that Mike, you're like you're a solo guy and you have a helper from time to time. Is that right?
Yes, at the end of last season and even at the end of the season before that.
All right. So Mike, so this upcoming season, I'm planning on doing more jobs myself solo with a helper time to time, and I'll have more of my guys doing maintenance and I guess smaller jobs, smaller tickets, that kind of thing. So I'm wondering, what advice would you give me for, I guess, maximizing scheduling jobs, or certain criteria you look for, knowing that, okay, I'm going to be doing this job by myself with a helper from time to time, and just wondering what you look for when you get a request for a quote, or what sort of criteria you look for when you're trying to get the most out of your season.
So I rely heavily on deliveries in bins, very heavily on that because I want to remain on site as much as possible. So essentially, any of my running around, I'll do at the end of my day. So if I need to go to like, say, Home Depot or something to get like a fitting, just so I'm not like running around during the day, anything, I get my bins delivered and picked up for soil excavation. Deliveries, I'll get something as simple as like a couple of bundles of product delivered. Uh, Anything and everything will be delivered. I've been called the diva of the podcast for some reason because I just get everybody else to do everything for me. But that's the goal. My goal is to stay on site as much as possible and not be running around for little things here and there. So I've got good relations with my suppliers that they're willing to deliver just small things for me. And I kind of budget that when I'm pricing in the project. I have so my helper is very flexible. So I don't even have to logistically schedule him in where I might be at a certain point in a project that I might need him. I could call him like the day before and be like, "Hey, are you good to go tomorrow?" And that's really helped me a lot. I don't know if that answers your questions at all, but I can go further in depth or yeah.
Yeah. So like yeah, and that's pretty much what my plan is. So I have a guy who's like willing to just drive in a truck for me and pick up stuff, and my supplier will deliver like bigger loads of whatever I need. As far as like as certain job, is there a certain type of job that you look for, that just from your experience, like what is there a job that's like too big, or a sweet spot that you look for, that okay, this is what you can do well and ultimately make the good money doing? Is there a certain job that that, okay, that's my sweet spot?
So when I was starting out and I was doing like mostly lift and relays and stuff, I partnered with a couple of different asphalt companies. So we would go in and we would do like the front walkway. And whether that's like a lift and relay at the front walkway, or we went in there and they wanted a lift and relay and we upsold them to like a front entrance. So like the asphalt company would come in and do the full excavation, base prep, and then I would come in and just do my thing in the front walkway and be gone. So that was really lucrative for me when I was starting out. And then I wanted to get out of those lift and relays and get into more design build. And there are projects that are too big for just me myself, but those are the projects that I want to be steering my company more and more towards, as long as we've got the ability to do them. My workaround for that is I'm very transparent with the clients to say, hey, I'm working by myself here. It's going to take me longer to do this than if you were to hire out another company. But this is my situation. This is how long it's going to take me to complete. And I do have like help that I can rely on from time to time. But just to let you know that this project's going to take you a little bit longer. You're going to get quality. You're going to get a decent price, but it's going to take us longer to complete it.
All right.
other than that, like a project that I wouldn't take on would be like something that I don't know anything about, like a swimming pool or yeah, something like that. That would especially require not just my ability to do it, but the manpower to go along with that.
Right.
Raising a pergola would be another thing that would be pretty difficult to do by yourself. Something,
Yeah.
anything like along those lines.
Yeah, and sort of my thinking, like I did a bunch of front entries last season, and they were still like pretty high ticket jobs, and they were a lot of fun because you had good access and you were
Yes.
in and out, and there was no real hiccups. But the jobs that I took on where we had to maybe get in the backyard or there was a little bit more to them. They ultimately those ones sort of slowed down our season. So my thinking is the more I can work in someone's front yard and get in, get out, do some good jobs, and get the season going. That's my thinking, especially if I'm going to be working potentially by myself. At least half the time, or potentially more, depending on how things go with it. But um, it's good to know you're sort of doing those the front entries to me are just kind of what I'm sort of thinking is maybe where I should be focusing on trying to land some of those jobs.
Yes, I would say so, especially like with the front yards. If you have your company truck out there, a yard sign, you're actually like visibly working there, and as opposed to being in a backyard with all your equipment out at the street, you'll get, at least in my experience, you get a lot more people actually coming up to you and asking you what you're doing, and then asking you for your card and stuff.
Another question too, and this might be something that the other guys can answer as well. There are times where you show up to a job and you may have like tight access, or you may make the decision, like, you know what, it's going to be easier just to dump all the materials on the front lawn and just either take the hit and redo their front lawn for them, because trying to get materials anywhere else is just not an option. Is there a way that either you guys have put some sort of budget for repairs to someone's property, just so that they know in advance, like, hey, we're going to budget for this much lawn damage, just knowing that it's going to happen? Or like, do you do that for every job, or do you just know, like, before you even price the job, like, okay, we're going to dump the material here? Like, sometimes it's a little nerve-wracking to say that to the client, because they may think like, well, that's kind of unprofessional. You're telling me you're going to wreck my lawn. You know what I mean? Like, is there a way you navigate that?
I sorry, I put it down as a line item
Okay.
on my quote. Like, I have a restoration. It says property restoration includes things like putting a post back in, rehanging the fence, putting a fence section up, fixing the sod. Because I do a lot of, like, I guess, menu pricing, where
Mm-hmm.
there's, like, I'm pricing a job right now. It's about $350,000 job. So, like, the fire pit is a different item from the patio, from the outdoor kitchen, but I know we're going to destroy a certain amount of grass no matter what we do on the property. So if I don't include it as a separate item, that's a must take item, then what happens is, if I were to break it up between all the items to sort of hide it, if they pull out 3 items, I'm still left fixing all the sod. And I don't have enough in those 3 items. If there's 6 items and they pick 3 to do, I've always found it to be a harder conversation to say, hey, I had $500 an item in sod repair, so now I got to increase these 3 items $500 each. It's easier just to write it as a separate item and say, hey, I'm going to screw up your lawn. It's going to happen. There's no way around it. This is how much it's going to cost to fix it. That's how we've handled it. I've been doing that for maybe 10 or 15 years, because I got sick of trying to hide it and do exactly what you're saying. It's a lousy conversation to have.
Yeah.
But since I started literally putting it in the quote as a line item, I haven't had one person ever ask me about it or say, why is that there? It just became more of an understanding, because it's in my quotes, it literally says repair sod, hang gate, put post back up, fix fence section, clean power wash driveway, like all the stuff we're going to do to clean the property before we leave. It's all listed in there so that they understand what they're paying for in that item.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. I like that wording.
That's a great way to do it. I like that way too. In my experience, I actually usually, if I don't bring it up at first, a client will ask me what I'm going to do about remediating the damage that we do to their lawns and stuff anyways, like with equipment going in and out of their backyard. So I think most clients in my experience kind of expect that at least a little bit.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons I got in. Like I got the hydro seeder too, because we were finishing patios and walkways, and when we damaged the lawn, and we would have to either wait for sod, or the sod would come a couple days later or whatever, and it was sort of it was like killing our momentum at the end of a job, because we'd have to go back, like, you know, the next week or whenever we could, to just lay like a half pallet of sod, or, you know, sometimes more than that depending on the damage. But with the hydro seeder, once we're done our job, we just hydro seed on the way out, and then we're off to the next job. But it felt like sometimes I was giving away a little bit more hydro seed than I was like budgeting for, and but I, you know, the property restoration line item is the, I think, the right wording for that, to not feel like you're gonna hydro seed their whole yard to make up for, you know, what you've budgeted for the repairs. So I like that.
I split it too. I have we have like an explanation, and I don't remember the exact wording. I haven't read it in a long time, but it says there's a difference between completely damaged, and we have one line that's talking about completely damaged sod that has to be stripped and replaced, and then we have another line about you know, where a skid might have sat for a few days and there's a bit of burning on the lawn. We'll do a topsoil and seed.
Okay.
And so,
Yeah.
and then it talks about our judgment and what's damage to replace, what's first damage to repair, which might be something you want to include with hydro seeding. I've never had the option of hydro seeding a property on the way out. It's kind of cool. I like it.
Have you had grief from a client about a pallet that burned the lawn?
Have
I
I?
have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh jeez. Where are you guys finding these clients?
I generally don't talk about anything that someone hasn't given me a hard time about. But I don't necessarily break down pallets. It's just, say the bathroom's been sitting in the same place for a week, or I don't know, some dirt was
bathroom? Oh, you mean the porta-john?
Porta-john, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like we have a separate line, or if the S70 has to put in one tree in the front lawn, and we don't have plywood on site, and you drive in and there's two tiny little ruts, or the dirt's turned up a bit where it's skidded, we have a line item for soil and seed versus complete sod, because obviously in the past I ran into a thing where I didn't have separate line items and someone said sod my whole front lawn. And I was like, well, I'm kind of fucked here. So
did you resod it, the whole thing?
I have, yeah. What am I going to do? I said damaged sod will be resodded. I damaged the sod. They said, you damaged it, you didn't resod it. I said, I put topsoil and seed. I barely touched it. They're like,
I'm so petty that I would have cut out a 2x5 and fucking plugged it right into that spot.
well,
Like,
whatever.
I wouldn't have given them a whole yard full of sod.
The problem is you tear up part of it and then you damage more of it. It's just, anyways.
I would have lit that thing up like a checkerboard.
Having a separate line item, I don't have the time and patience that you do, Chad.
Yeah.
I could just say that would be a client where I said, what do I need to do for you to never call me again?
Yeah. I love that. Still love that.
What do I have to do here so that I never ever call it? Anyways, that's why we have the two line items, because of exactly what Zach's talking about, is that there's, you know, just, we wanted to make a clear separation between, there's a judgment between subtly damaged and completely screwed up. So
yeah, no, that's great.
Well, awesome. Zach, anything else that you want to go over before we let you go here?
No, that's really that's really all I had in mind. Other than that, I really appreciate you guys doing this, and I like you guys are the best podcast going right now for me. I've been listening to you guys. I'm plowing snow out here on the East Coast, and you guys are the ones getting me through it. So I really appreciate when
Awesome.
there's a podcast of you guys I can listen to while I'm out there in the skid steer pushing piles of snow. So
That's great to
Awesome.
hear.
Awesome, brother.
Awesome. We appreciate
we
that.
appreciate you listening, man.
Does the East Coast get a lot of snow? I think there's a
this
debate between Chad and his employee there.
you know, well, this year hasn't been so bad. Last winter we kind of got hit like hard, but this year we've had a some long breaks in between our big storms. Last season it was like just every weekend we got just slammed. So last season was tough. This year's been pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Zach, let us where can our audience go find out more about you and your business if you want to send them anywhere?
I'm on Instagram. My company's Sweet Landscaping. So if people want to go check out my Instagram and that, I'm on there. Other than that, I post a few TikToks from time to time. I'm on there too. But for the most part, you can find me on Instagram.
Awesome. Zach, thank you so much, man.
All right, thanks.
Thanks
Have
for
a good
coming
one.
on, Zach. Have a
Thanks,
great
Zach.
night.
That wraps up our coaching calls, guys.